Hello and welcome to this app tour for the River City United Methodist Church app. We do these app tours because there's so many different things you can do with the church app, and we like to walk through everything that's available so it's really obvious of what is possible with the app. So already you can see that I am deep pressing on the app icon on iOS, and you can long press on Android 8 or later and it will open a similar menu, but this menu allows you to dive into different sections of the app from outside of the app. And something like this you may not even know exists if someone doesn't show you. So this just gives a small example of one of the cool things that's possible with the app that you may not even know of if you aren't shown like in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and press the app icon and just dive into the app normally. And you can see that the app opens to the home screen. At the bottom of the screen you can see the tabs, so we can jump into home, sermons, notes, calendar, connect, or give from basically anywhere in the app. Or you can see in the home section you have the different tiles, and some of the things here are only accessible here from the home screen. But before we look at any of that, this is not the first time that I've opened the app. If it had been the first time I opened the app on iOS, the first thing it would show me would be ask if if it's okay for me to receive push notifications. Now, push notifications are going to be a great way for River City United Methodist Church to be able to send messages to everyone that has the app. So let's say there's an upcoming event, they want to promote a new sermon series or whatever it is, they can send out notifications, and you need to, on iOS, opt into those notifications. On Android, you'll automatically opt in. You actually have to opt out. So you don't even have to worry about this on Android. But on iOS, we do highly advise that you accept push notifications. But even if you accept push notifications, in the top right corner, you can see that paper airplane. And I'm going to go ahead and press that, and that's going to take me into the notification menu. And you can see it when you go in here the first time, it's going to look like this. It's going to have everything turned off. So what you can do here is you can opt in for the different kind of notifications you want. So if you allow notifications, that means that you're just going to get general notifications that go out to the whole church. But River City UMC has the ability to send notifications specifically to youth and parents, to children's ministry, to the college group, and to theology on tap. So if I wanted, let's say I have a student in youth and I want to get messages or get push notifications that go out to theology on tap, all I got to do is toggle those two on, leave the other two off. So let's say something's going on in children's ministry for the next week. Maybe there's vacation Bible school or something. Well, they're probably going to send out push notifications all week. Well, I'm not going to get any of those. So it's not like I'm going to be frustrated that those notifications are going out. But I do want to make sure that if maybe a youth camp's going on, I'm getting notifications all week about that. So this gives River City UMC the ability to send notifications, like they could send 7 notifications out throughout the week now. But I'm only going to get 2 of those probably because I'm only opting in for some of them. So this gives you the ability to customize what kind of notifications you get, and also for River City UMC not to worry that if they're sending notifications out to targeted groups that everyone's going to get them and get frustrated by them. So first of all, first thing you do when you open the app, I would highly advise going into the notification section. So I'm going to go ahead and press the back button in the top left corner. And now you can see we're back in the home section with all these tiles. And I'm just going to go through each of the tiles and show what they do. So the first one you see there is Connect. I'm going to go ahead and press that, and that takes me into the Connect section. And in the Connect section, you can, voila, connect with River City UMC. So the top option there you can see is the Connect card. So this gives you the ability to access the Connect card throughout the week. So now you don't have to be at church on Sunday morning to be able to fill out a Connect card. And this is great for first-time visitors or someone that decides they want to fill out a Connect card, but perhaps they felt a little awkward filling it out on Sunday morning. They can fill out at any time during the week and submit it from directly within the app. Below that is the ability to get directions to the church, and it will use your location and get you direction to the church. But don't worry, the app does not access your location until you give it permission to access your location by pressing that. Next up is Facebook, and that will take you right into the Facebook app. And the reason that it takes you into the Facebook app is it gives you the ability then to be able to interact with River City UMC. If you don't have the Facebook app, it will just open it in a web view within the app. But if you do have it, that'll take you right in there where you can interact with River City UMC. And last of all, gives you access to the River City UMC website. So let's go back to the home section now that we've covered all of Connect. And next up is Sermons. In the Sermons section, you have all of the River City UMC sermons, and they're divided by sermon series, making it very easy for you to access specific series. And it also gives you an easy way to dive digest different topics. So, for instance, if I wanted to listen to the sermons about the Apostle Paul, now you can see I have the sermon series right there with a nice sermon series graphic. I can select the Apostle Paul, and it will take me into where I can see all of the sermons within that sermon series. And then maybe there's a specific sermon in there. I don't want to just listen to it from the start. For instance, Paul and Silas in prison, I can just select that, and here I am ready to listen to that sermon. So I'm going to go ahead and press listen to audio, and this will open up the player. And I'm right now, since I selected listen to audio, it's going to stream it. So that's why for a second here, it's going to take us a second here to load the sermon because we're streaming. So right now it's buffering that sermon. Now, if I didn't want to handle it this way, I could actually download the sermon, which would make it go a lot quicker. So I can go ahead and press the back button, and you can see it's actually playing right now. So I pressed back, and the sermon actually finished buffering and started playing. And you can see at the bottom of the screen, it actually started showing the waves going like that. And the cool thing about this is oftentimes, if you have audio playing in any app, you've probably experienced this. Sometimes you'll have audio playing, you'll start navigating around like I did right there, and you can't tell how to get back to the audio. So sometimes you have to back out of the app, go into your control center on your phone, whatever. It can be very frustrating to figure out how to stop the audio. But let's go ahead. Remember, we were in Connect earlier. I'm going to go ahead and use the tab at the bottom of the screen and go to the Connect section. And you can see that wave formation is still following me through the app. And the reason for that is all I need to do is just press the wave. I can just touch the wave, and it will take me right back to the player. So that wave will follow me throughout the whole app. And right now I'm listening to the sermon. And if ever I want to go back and stop it, all I need to do is go back there, press the wave, and it'll take me right back to the sermon, where if I want to pause it, I can pause it, or you can see the little white bar that's filling up. I can just drag my finger along that bar, and I can scrub to any section of the sermon I want to jump to. And you can see, as I'm doing that, you can see on the left-hand side the minutes, so I can easily tell what part of the sermon I'm jumping to. So I'm going to go ahead and press pause, and now that I press pause, if I press back, the wave doesn't follow me around. So the reason it took a little while there for that to start playing was I was streaming it, which meant I needed to buffer it first to get it playing. But you can see next to the listen to audio button is an arrow pointing down. That's how you download the sermon. So I personally like to listen to sermons while I go running. And while I'm running, I don't really want to stream a sermon because that means I'm using data to do that. I'm not on Wi-Fi anymore. So what I like to do is before I go out, I like to download that sermon. So maybe you'd want to do this for the same reason. Maybe you like listening to sermons while you drive. All you got to do is press that down arrow, and it's going to start downloading the sermon. So you can see it starting to fill in. Once that box fills completely in, the sermon is then downloaded, and then it will play right away when you go in to listen to it. So I jump in there, and immediately it starts playing. Remember, it took us like 10 seconds to buffer it before. This time it was ready right away, and also as I go around like this, and it'll jump right to the space because the sermon's downloaded now, so it doesn't have to do any sort of loading. Also, you could see, I'm going to go into the second to the top one from June 17th. You can see on the previous one that notes button wasn't highlighted. On this one, the notes button is highlighted. And that's because if sermon notes are available for that sermon, you not only can listen to the sermon, you can also view the sermon notes that were posted for that sermon for the Sunday that the sermon was given. And if a sermon really means a lot to you, you can see in the top right corner of the screen, there's an arrow pointing out of a box. If I press that, it takes me to options where I can share this sermon. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll select Twitter here. And you can see it pulls up a Twitter box where it says, here's a message I like from River City UMC. And to the right of that is actually a link to the sermon. So I can easily share this on social media so everyone can see I like the sermon. Or I could share it by email or text if I want to personally share this sermon with a single person. I'm going to go ahead and press back again. So here we are at the sermon list where we can see all the sermon series. And remember, I said we downloaded that one sermon. In the top right corner, you can see a picture of a folder. This folder will take you to all of your downloaded sermons. I'm going to go ahead and press that, and you can see there's the Apostle Paul, and there's the Paul and Silas in prison. So I have access to the sermon to listen to it, and this is the downloaded version of the sermon. And when you're using the River City UMC app week to week downloading these sermons, eventually you're going to be, these sermons are probably 40 to 50 megs big. So eventually you're probably going to want to clear out these sermons, and we've created a really easy way for you to do that. You can see when you're looking at the downloaded sermons, in the top right corner is a trash can. So all you got to do is press that trash can and say you want to delete, and that will delete all of the downloaded sermons on your phone. Now you can see you still have access to the sermons. These are the sermons that are actually posted online by River City UMC, but the ones that are actually downloaded to the phone are now gone, clearing up a lot of space on my phone. All right, I'm going to go ahead and press the home button now that we've ran through all of this information about sermons. And next up is sermon notes. So I'm going to press the notes tile there. And you can see here what we have is the sermon outline for Sunday's sermon. And this is a fantastic way to follow along with Sunday's message. So you can see at the top of the screen, it even says, touch any section to take a note. So not only do we have a really nice looking sermon outline with a sermon series graphic, a title, a description, as well as scripture, you can see what I did there was I touched the Genesis 12, 1 through 5, and it popped up this box, and I can say, I love what it says in Genesis here. So I'm taking a personal note, just like I would scribble down a note on a handout outline, and I can press add, and you can see now next to that Genesis passage there's a little symbol indicating I have taken a note there. So I'll scroll up and say, you can see the title, Guess Who? True Heroes. I'll say, what an interesting title. So you can see now, as I scroll quickly through here, it's really obvious where I've taken notes at, because on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that little indicator showing where I've taken notes. And if I go ahead and tap back into Genesis 12, 1 through 5, there is the note I took on Genesis. So if, let's say I take a quick note, the pastor continues talking, and then something else is said I want to take a note on, all I need to do is just tap back in there, and I can continue taking notes. So more notes. And I can take more notes, and then as the pastor continues, I can go down here, and then on Genesis 15, 1 through 6, I can say even more notes. And I write all of that out because I want to show that once the message is done, at the bottom here there's an email sermon button. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And what this does is it pulls up an email, and you can see everywhere that I took a note, I have my personal notes in line where I took them. So there's the title, Guess Who? True Heroes, and what an interesting title. You can see the note I took is right there. As I scroll down, there's Genesis 12, 1 through 5. Right below that is I love what it says in Genesis here, more notes. And then at the end of Genesis 15, whoops, you can see even more notes. So it puts all of your notes where you took them. So just like when you have a sermon outline given to you, you probably scribble down your notes in the margins on the side or wherever you can get them in. Well, now it makes space in these notes, so it shows where you took them, and you can write as much as you want. I could have written paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs on each section, and there's unlimited space to do so. So this gives you the ability to take way more notes if you want, and also the ability to email these notes to yourself. And we hear awesome stories from different churches that use these notes, email them to themselves, and set up a folder in their email client so the notes are automatically put in that folder. And that way, if they ever want to reference notes they took, they know all they need to do is go to that folder, and there their notes are waiting for them. They never have to worry about losing them getting deleted, because they're safely stored online. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and press the cancel button in the top left corner. Now we're back in the notes again, and then I'm going to press the home tab in the bottom left corner. And now we're back in the home section. So next up is calendar. So I'm going to press the calendar button, and what you have here is River City UMC's calendar. And you can see we have an awesome list of events coming up, and along with these events, in every case, you have add to calendar and information, and in some cases you even have a register for event button. So the add to calendar button, you might be asking yourself, why in the world is there an add to calendar button when I am looking at the calendar? This makes no sense. And the reason for that is right now you're looking at River City UMC's calendar. But the thing is, what if you want to add these events to your personal calendar? I'm on an iPhone right now, so what if I want to add it to my iCal? Or on an Android phone, what if I want to add it to my Google Calendar? Well, that's what the add to calendar buttons for. So for the men's Bible study, I'm going to go ahead and press add to calendar, and you can see it says the first time you ever press that, it's going to ask for access to your calendar. The reason is this app is wanting to add an event to your calendar. it needs to ask you for permission to do that, or it's kind of scary because that means it can just do whatever it wants to your calendar. So it's going to ask you for permission. I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, you have permission. And then after I do that, event has been added. So now any other times, let's say Vacation Bible School, I'm going to add that to my calendar. Event added. So what I can do now is scroll through this list of events and just click add to calendar for every event that's relevant to me and my family. And that makes it so within probably less than a minute, I can scroll through months of events and add all of the events that are relevant to me and my family. And my wife actually shares our iCalendar. Our iCalendars are linked. So this makes it so quickly the entire family has all of the events that are relevant to us. And the cool thing about this is many times a church will have a calendar like this, but the only way to get the events added to your personal calendar is to sync every single event. So let's say you don't have kids. It makes no sense for you to have Vacation Bible School on your personal calendar. Well, too bad. Now all of these Vacation Bible Schools would show up on your calendar. But with this, you can just go through and add only the things that are relevant to you, which gives you a really powerful way to get all of the church events that are relevant to you added to your personal calendar and help you keep track of them, have reminders show up on your phone, and it's just a really neat way to stay connected. Next up is the information button. Now, in some cases, the information button may have no additional information. So here on Sunday morning worship, there's no additional details for you to be shown, so it doesn't show you anything. But for Vacation Bible School, I'm going to press the information button, and you can see, whoa, there are a lot of details, including a registration link, there's scripture, and all sorts of different information here. And you can see at the bottom, there's even a registration button. And here, that registration button is shown as well. So if any event has the ability to register, there's going to be a register button right here on the front of the calendar. So I see Vacation Bible School in church this Sunday morning. It's mentioned that, make sure to register for Vacation Bible School. From the calendar, without even clicking into anything, I can just click register for event, and I haven't left the app. I'm still inside the app, and it will take me to the registration page for Vacation Bible School. And I actually looked at this a little earlier. There's a lot of details on this page, which is why it's taking a while, because we're also doing all this stuff streaming. So I'll go into a event which has maybe a less details, like men's Bible study, and you can see when I go in here it will load really quickly because this page doesn't have as much content on it. But you can see it loads up. I can just, from within the app, I'm still inside of the River City UMC app, I can fill out this form in RSVP for men's Bible study. It makes it really easy to connect from within the calendar. And also, when available, I believe for Vacation Bible School, for one of these, there's even, here you can see there's an email button I can even press, and while still within the River City UMC app, I can even send an email about men's Bible study. So the calendar, while it may seem somewhat simple at first just looking at it, it is very powerful, perhaps the most powerful section of the entire app, because it helps you stay connected in so many ways. So I'm going to go ahead and press the home tab in the bottom left corner once again, and next up is small groups, and this is such a neat feature of the app. So I'm going to go ahead and press small groups, and check this out. There is a map showing the Louisville area, and below that you can see a list of the different small groups that are in session right now, including J-Town, Theology on Tap, and Men's Bible Study. So let's say obviously you know where you live in the Louisville area, so if you wanted to search by location, you can go in here and you can pinch to zoom just like you would expect to be able to do, and you can pinch to zoom, and let's say you live in Jeffersontown. Well, I probably want to choose this one on B, so I'm going to press B. I'm going to tap that pin, and you can see it opens options. It shows that that's Theology on Tap, and now I can call the leader of Theology on Tap, I can email them, or I can even sign up for Theology on Tap from within the small group section. So I'm going to press the sign up button, and it will open the option where I can sign up from right here for Theology on Tap, making it so easy to navigate all of the small groups. So I mean, if there were 20 small groups, even then this becomes even more powerful to be able to see all those small groups, zoom in on the area where I want to see, and then it will scroll this to show where that group is. So you can see the B pin matches up within that list below. There's B.Theology on Tap, so you can see which ones which one is theology on tap, even though it'll also, and then men's Bible study there at the bottom. I'm going to select men's Bible study from the list, and you can see it actually highlights the pin and scrolls to it. So you can search by times, because there at the bottom you can see what day and time the group meets. You can search by what the group is, or you can search by the location on the map, making it so easy to find the perfect small group for you to join. So I'm going to go ahead and press the back button in the top left corner. Next up is giving, and this gives you all of the different ways that you can give to River City UMC, whether that means digital giving, so I could just touch the picture of the computer there and it'll take me to the digital giving page, text to give, which I can touch that phone and it'll open up whatever the texting app is that you use on your phone and take you right to where you can give that way, or it shows the address for River City UMC and shows where you can mail a check if that's how you want to give. I'm going to go ahead and press the home tab in the bottom left corner again, and you can see we're in the bottom row now. So I'm going to go ahead and press newsletter. Now the newsletter is awesome. This gives you access to the newest newsletter. And just like when we were looking at that, the sign up for VBS, this is actually pretty beefy. So it can take a second for this to load, but you can see now without even being subscribed for the newsletter, I have access to the newest newsletter. And as soon as River City UMC sends out a new newsletter, it will show up right here. So let's say they send it out in MailChimp today at noon. If I go into the app at 12:01 p.m., the newsletter is going to be right here, ready to look at. So if you go into the app, go into the home section and select newsletter, you know you're always going to be looking at the newest newsletter that's available. Next up is the playlist. The playlist gives you access to River City UMC's worship playlist. So I'm going to go ahead and press playlist, and if it's the first time you've used the app's actually going to ask if you'll give the app access to Spotify. So all you got to do is give it access. Now, perhaps you don't have Spotify. If you don't have Spotify, the app will ask you if you want to download Spotify. Now, what you see here, I have access to River City UMC's playlist. I can press shuffle play, and I have a free Spotify account. So I can that easily go in here, press shuffle play, and immediately be listening to River City UMC's worship music. And then while it's playing, I can press in the top left corner, go back, and I can be listening to the worship playlist and still be within the River City UMC app, because Spotify could then play in the background, and I can go around the app, do whatever I want, navigate small groups, look at sermon notes, and while that's going on, I can be listening to worship music. So it's a really neat way to be able to access all of the worship music from River City UMC, and River City UMC can easily update that playlist to always have the music that's currently the worship music that's being played at River City UMC. So that's a really powerful tool, but you do need Spotify, but fortunately Spotify is free. So if you want to be able to do that and you already have Spotify, it'll be super easy. If you don't have Spotify, it's actually super easy to also sign up, and you can easily just link it right up to your Facebook account if you have that. Last of all is the prayer wall. In the bottom right corner, you can see it says prayer. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and what the prayer wall is it's a list of all of the prayer requests that have been posted, but not only are there are prayer requests posted here, you also have the ability to indicate that you're praying for a prayer request. You have the ability to reply to the prayer request. And the last thing I'll talk about is that flagged option. But first of all, let's talk about indicating that you're praying for a prayer request. You can see the bottom prayer request here is on the left-hand side. It says a praise. So every prayer request can indicate whether that prayer request is a praise or an actual request requesting prayer. So the bottom one is, I'm very thankful to have a prayer wall that I can use for River City ... Well, I want to see what that full prayer request says. So I can tap the prayer request text. So I'm tapping I am very thankful, and it takes me into where I can see the full prayer request written out. This will make sharing prayer requests so easy. Well, that's awesome. I'm also praising God for this. So I can press the heart button, and you can see now it shows that heart is black. It's black because the theme of the app is black, but you can see it darkens the heart to show that that button has been pressed for me. And that shows that I'm also praising God for the fact that this is happening. And below that, you can see that Jessica replied saying, woohoo, this is awesome. And I can even reply to a prayer request. And you can see she even used emojis to reply to the prayer request. So people can easily reply to a prayer request. What if I want to reply? Well, all I need to do is press that speech bubble that's next to the heart. I'm going to press that, and this will take me into where I can reply. So I'm going to go ahead and type John, as my name, and I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to say this is really cool. And I'm going to go ahead and add an emoji. I'm going to do clapping hands because I'm happy. I'm going to submit reply. And you can see right there on July 18th is my reply saying this is really cool and all the clapping emoji. And you can see now below the prayer request, it says there's one heart. That was when I indicated that I'm praising God. And then there's two replies. You can see Jessica replied and I have replied. So if I press the back button in the top left corner, you can see here it also shows there's one person saying they're praising God for this, and there's two people that have replied. So without ever actually going into the prayer request, I can already see that two people have replied to that one, and the one above it, I can see that no one has replied to it. So if I click into the one above that saying we had our first child 2.5 weeks ago, and we could use, I can tap into that, and you can see here there are no replies to this one. But you can also, and you can also see that emoji are also available for even when you make a prayer request. So if I click back, maybe I don't need to go into the prayer request to reply. So on that top prayer request, I could just press the speech bubble button and immediately dive into replying, and I can say praying for you, Jessica. And that's all I have to do. There it is. There's my reply. And you can see now there's the black speech bubble indicating that I have replied. And I can press back. And you can see I have personally replied to both of these prayer requests because the speech bubble is now darkened. But I have only indicated that I'm praying for the bottom one because that heart is the only one that's darkened. So the last thing here is on the right of that is the flagged exclamation mark. And what that's for is in case someone were to come in here and actually post something that's inappropriate, we created a way that made it so you can indicate what has been entered is inappropriate. So, and we do this because we don't want to make it so River City UMC has to have someone that's continually moderating the prayer wall. So the way this works is if a number of different people have flagged a prayer request or a post, this makes it so the prayer request or post will automatically be deleted. So don't go through and just go and flag everything for fun. But if something here is inappropriate, you definitely can come in here, flag it, and then once a few more people see that it's inappropriate and flag it as well, it'll just automatically be taken away without needing to take up any of church staff's time. Well, how do we make a prayer request? Last of all, in the top right corner, you can see the pencil writing. I'm going to press that, and this takes me into where I make a prayer request. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate whether this is a prayer request or a praise report. Let's make this a praise report. Next up, I'm going to enter my name. Let's say at this point, for whatever reason, I just realized, whoops, this is actually a well, let's see, I can't remember if I pressed praise report or prayer request. At the top where it says prayer type, personal information, prayer details, you can just tap back to the area you want to go to. So I'm going to press prayer type, and whoops, I actually pressed the wrong button there. I can press prayer type, and you can see it takes me right back to prayer type. So I'm going to press praise report, and you can see it takes me back into the personal information. So I'm going to do John H. And I press next, and now I can type out my praise report. I'm going to say, I absolutely love this prayer wall. And let's do a bunch of high fives. Submit prayer request, and there is the prayer request. And you can see, since it wasn't truncated, you can even see my emoji there. And my new prayer request from July 18th is listed here in the list, ready to go. And anybody that loads up the app now will see that prayer request there. So this actually covers everything in the app. You can see at the tabs at the bottom of the screen for sermons, notes, calendar, connect, and give. We actually ran through all of those. If I go back to the home section and let's say I press notes, you can see at the bottom of the screen the notes tab was actually selected because it took me into that tab. So we've actually gone through all of those different things. So this video has covered everything that's available within the River City UMC app. As you can see, there is so much stuff you can do, so many different ways you can interact and engage at a deeper level with River City UMC. If you have any questions about anything else that's available from a FaithLink app, make sure to visit our website at faithlinkapps.com. Have a great day.